Speaker Paul Ryan revealing he will not be running for re-election, but sticking around for the next 8 months. And the political bombshell is raising questions about what this means for Republicans in the midterm elections. Help or hurt? Here to debate it, Democratic strategist Don Calloway and former political director for President George W. Bush, Matt Schlapp, who's got a very famous wife. Matt, real quick, you say the Speaker of the House never liked politics, was uncomfortable with the president, even though they had dinner last night. So this makes sense to you?
Yeah, it does. Look, I think there's been a lot of political change in politics, and the Speaker has been uncomfortable with aspects of it. The biggest part that he's been uncomfortable with in being the Speaker of the House is, look, he's not a guy who loves politics. He doesn't like bathe in politics. He loves public policy. He loved passing that tax bill. That's the valedictory of his time as Speaker, and I think he's being honest with the American people and saying, look, I've done the job I wanted to do, and I want to move on. And good for him for coming to that conclusion.
And Don, I know you were happy about this, but when that when John McCain went thumbs down, that really killed his ideal, which would have been entitlement reform. He wanted it to start there. Your thoughts?
Well, Paul Ryan is a budget guy and he's a tax guy. So ultimately, I agree with Matt that the valedictory of his career, even more so than entitlement reform, has always been reforming our tax code for the first time since 1986. I don't agree with everything that happened in the tax bill, but it is a major achievement for Paul Ryan's speakership and his leadership. But let's be very clear. Matt is right when he says Paul didn't want to be Speaker. I'll tell you what else he didn't want to be is Minority Leader. Paul Ryan and 39 other Republicans see that blue wave is coming, and he wants no parts of that. I commend him, however, for doing the right thing and stepping aside now as opposed to running for another term and then stepping aside once the minority was confirmed.
Let me counter that. You know, the person who might be the most disappointed person in Washington is Nancy Pelosi. You know, people talk about Donald Trump's numbers, which are improving and much better than get reported. The politician with the worst numbers in the last 20 years in politics is Nancy Pelosi. You know what the focus is on 100% around this country as we get closer and closer to November? It is the Nancy Pelosi agenda, which is not going to help anybody in this country.
Yeah, there's two things we hear, Don. We hear if you bring up Nancy Pelosi, Republicans like that. And if you bring up impeachment, believe it or not, the Republicans like that. Even David Axelrod weighed in and said the American people don't want to hear that. Do you agree?
Yeah, this is a midterm election. You know, midterm elections are not about the House Minority Leader. Midterm elections are a referendum, particularly on the president. That is what history tells us. And we can always say that Nancy Pelosi is unpopular. Whether or not that's true, I'm sure that the Republicans will run on it. But this will be a referendum on Donald Trump. Nancy Pelosi doesn't really care whether or not Paul Ryan's Speaker because this is a referendum on Trump. And again, not only 39 Republicans, which is a record in Republican defections, but who else knows it is Matt Schlapp. It's his job to rally the conservative troops, but the blue wave is coming with or without Nancy Pelosi.
And believe it or not, Don, even though the momentum, you seem to be right when it comes to momentum, the generic poll that separates the two had the Democrats' lead shrink to just 3 yesterday, and I was surprised by that. But, Matt, in the big picture, what is the additional fallout? Some say that after this, they pull the plug. A lot of other Republicans retire. Do you foresee that?
First of all, it's okay for politicians who don't feel the energy to run again to quit. I'd rather them quit than run a half-hearted race. And there are a lot of Republicans who are resigning, and I'm okay with bringing in fresh legs into the political scene. And the third point is that if this is a referendum on Donald Trump, it'll be a referendum on the Trump economy. Why do you see those generic ballot numbers, Brian, getting better for the Republicans? It's because people feel secure. They feel more economic security, and they feel like President Trump is projecting strength overseas, whether it's Syria or whether it's China or whether it's Russia. And that's what this race will come down to.
I have news for you. Kevin McCarthy, by the way, coming up again now. Well, ask him. He's good friends with the president, most likely will be the next speaker. But real quick, Don, I believe the president cannot say I projected strength if he now backs out of showing strength in Syria after what he said yesterday, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that, but I don't necessarily see his tweet as a backing out. His tweet is a very real response to the criticism that he was telegraphing military activity, and he's still saying, hey, I'm going to do something. I'm just not telling you exactly when it is. I support the president's action on Syria. I think that we should have taken Bashar al-Assad out long ago. I don't like tweeting about it. That's very unpresidential, but Bashar al-Assad needs to go.
All right. Final thoughts, Matt.
You know, in so many ways, Barack Obama did not keep us safe. And I think this election is going to come down to this one word. Do you feel secure as an American? Do you feel like you have greater economic security? And do you feel like you're safer because of the Trump policies? And I think that's why the Republicans will be in good shape. And we will pick up Senate seats for sure.
If we could all get along like this country would be in a better place. Don Calloway, Matt Schlapp, thanks so much.